that something about you was slightly off. You were told you were too sensitive, too easily drained, that you felt things more deeply than necessary. And slowly, without realizing it, you learned to translate your own limits into shame. When cities overwhelmed you, you didn't question the environment. You questioned your resilience. You told yourself that adulthood meant tolerance, that ambition required noise, that opportunity lived where everything was crowded, loud, and constantly moving. And when your body reacted with tension or fatigue, you framed it as a flaw, something to outgrow, something to push through. So you apologized for needing space, for wanting quiet, for not enjoying what everyone else seemed energized by. But that explanation was never true. Not partially wrong, completely wrong. Because what you experienced was never a failure to adapt. It was a signal, and not a broken one. Some people aren't drained by cities because they're weak. They're drained because their minds are built to register more. More detail, more contrast, more subtle shifts. The hum beneath the noise. The emotional temperature of a space, not just its activity. Your nervous system doesn't skim experience, it absorbs it. Crowded environments demand constant filtering. Traffic lights, sirens, footsteps, conversations you're not part of, screens flashing, bodies brushing past, the invisible pressure of being observed. For many people, this fades into background static. For you, it doesn't disappear, it accumulates. Psychology doesn't call this fragility, it calls it depth of processing. Some brains are designed to scan broadly and move quickly. Others are designed to scan deeply and notice what others miss. Neither is better, but they require different conditions to function well. Cities reward speed, stimulation tolerance, rapid emotional recovery. They are optimized for minds that regulate through action and momentum. But minds that regulate through reflection and internal coherence pay a cost in those same spaces. You weren't failing to toughen up. You were spending energy just to stay neutral. That's why the exhaustion felt different. Not the satisfying tiredness of effort, but a depletion that sank past thought and into the body. A heaviness behind the eyes, a quiet irritability that didn't match who you knew yourself to be. This wasn't preference, it was physiology interacting with environment. Your brain is constantly deciding what matters, what to amplify, what to ignore. In dense, high stimulation settings, that decision never rests. Attention is pulled outward again and again before it has time to settle. For a mind wired to integrate experience fully, this creates fragmentation. You aren't overwhelmed because you care too much. You're overwhelmed because your system refuses to disengage from what it detects. That same trait is what allows you to notice nuance, to read between words, to sense shifts before they're obvious, to hold complexity without rushing toward resolution. In quiet environments, this becomes clarity. In loud ones, it becomes overload. People call this sensitivity, but that word has been flattened into something dismissive. What it really describes is permeability. Information passes through you more easily. Emotional tone, environmental stress, unspoken tension. You don't just observe it, you carry it. There's a reason for this. Not every member of a group was meant to charge forward. Some were meant to pause, to scan, to detect subtle danger, to remember patterns, to notice what others missed. These roles required nervous systems tuned to detail, not speed. In environments filled with constant novelty and intensity, those systems never stand down. They remain open, vigilant, alert, and vigilance without rest becomes rare. Cities simulate perpetual alertness. Even when nothing is wrong, your body stays slightly braced. That low-grade tension you feel isn't anxiety. It's readiness with nowhere to discharge. And over time, readiness becomes exhaustion. This is why quiet doesn't feel boring to you. It feels stabilizing. It's not the absence of stimulation you're seeking. It's proportion. The chance for your inner world to match the outer one. The space for your thoughts to complete themselves instead of being interrupted mid-formation. When that happens, something else appears. Focus, emotional accuracy, a sense of alignment that doesn't require effort. From the outside, choosing distance can look like withdrawal. Choosing silence can look like avoidance. But internally, it's regulation. It's how your system preserves clarity without numbing itself. You don't crave isolation. You crave coherence. And yet, the cost of carrying this trait in a world built for constant engagement is real. You feel it when you stay longer than you should. When you push through environments that leave you depleted for days. When you question your ambition because it doesn't resemble anyone else's. There's grief in that. Quiet grief. The kind that doesn't announce itself, but lingers in the background of your choices. The sense that you're always adjusting, always accommodating, always translating yourself into a language that doesn't quite fit. You were taught that adaptation meant becoming less affected, less responsive, less attuned. But what if adaptation isn't about hardening? What if it's about placement? What if the issue was never your capacity, but the constant demand to override it? That question doesn't resolve everything. It doesn't erase pressure or expectation. But it shifts something important. It moves the weight slightly off your shoulders and into the space around you. You don't need to become less responsive to fit the world. The world doesn't need to be experienced at maximum density to be meaningful. Different minds require different distances. Protecting your energy isn't avoidance, it's maintenance. Choosing environments that allow you to think clearly isn't fear, it's alignment. Limiting exposure to what fragments you isn't weakness. It's self-knowledge applied. You're not asking for less life. You're asking for life at the scale your mind can fully inhabit. Nothing about you needs fixing. Something around you needs adjusting. And once that realization settles, a quieter curiosity appears. Not about how to endure more, but about what becomes possible when you stop fighting the way your mind actually works.